Uh-oh, somebody's incognito this morning. What the heck is that? I love it.
It's fantastic.
All right, now I have to go order a new mask.
Uh-oh, I know. Happy Tuesday and welcome to Fight Club, everybody.
Wow.
Hi, Martha. Good morning.
Rick is coming to New Orleans for the QDS conference, so
Love it.
I had to get us in theme.
I love it. I'm
Yeah,
ready. I'm
awesome.
here for it.
That is a whole theme. That is beautiful.
All right, kick us off, Tay, after my...
So, welcome back to Fight Club. That was an interesting start. I feel like I'm jolted a little bit from the feathers and the masquerade ball mask there. But welcome back to Fight Club for Business, the show for home service business owners looking to improve their marketing, finances, systems, and culture. We're a team of self-employed industry experts. And this week we get to be joined by Rick Wallace. Thank you so much for joining us, Rick.
Glad to be here.
Awesome. We're so excited to have you. Can you just give our listeners kind of a brief rundown of yourself and your business?
Yeah. Well, we started out doing lawn maintenance and landscaping, and then we still do that, but we transitioned into lawn spraying. So we do a lot of lawn spraying. We have about let me see how many clients, 5,700 clients, lawn care clients. And now we're trying to get into pest control. So just kind of transitioning between industries, and when something isn't hard enough, we try to find something harder and beat ourselves against the wall for that much longer. So your typical business owner, I think.
I would absolutely agree with that. I think we can all attest to that.
Yeah. As if it isn't hard enough, let's go find a way to make it harder.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Rick. And for those new listeners or returning listeners, my name is Taylor Maroney. I co-own a power washing company with my husband in South Florida. My background is in marketing, so that's what I get to talk to Rick about today, is a lot of marketing and how he did grow his business to, I think I spread it was 200,000 to about 5 million, if I read correctly. So I'm excited to talk to you about that and how marketing really played into that. But my love as well as social media, it's been a lot of fun to navigate the social world. I am a micro influencer as well, and excited to be back here on Fight Club with all you awesome peeps. And happy Tuesday, everyone.
Happy Tuesday. My name's Megan Likes. I'm the founder of Bookkeeping Academy Online. My passion is educating and empowering small business owners to know their numbers so that they can live more financially rewarding lives. I also have a full service accounting firm, Likes Accounting Company. First week back post tax season. Yay! I am the CEO of Jeff Likes Clean Windows and Gutters and a host of other things, but I'm excited to be here. And Rick, I'm excited to get to know you. This is going to be fun.
Mm-hmm. Hey there, Rick. I'm Michelle Myers. We're going to talk about systems when you hang out with me, which I feel like you might have a few. Getting from 200,000 to 5 million, you can't do it as a one-man band, and I'm sure there's a lot of really cool stuff behind you helping you out. I own Pink Collars, so we do remote admin services, and we put CSRs or office managers in your business remotely if you need that help. And I'm also the proud owner of a Wise Coatings location in Loudoun County with my sweet husband, who's out there killing it somewhere in the world. And I am grateful to meet you and to have you on Fight Club.
Very cool. Wise Coatings, that's a franchise, isn't it?
It is. It is.
I think I've heard of that one before.
With Brandon. Yep.
Brandon? Okay. Yeah, I've heard of that one. Pretty neat.
Unmute, Martha.
No wonder you were interrupting me.
Oh, Lord, here we go.
Yeah, here we go.
Oh, here we go.
Happy Tuesday, everyone.
For our listeners that don't know me at all, Rick and I banter a little. It's okay. It's all right. We like each other. I'm Martha Woodward. I am co-founder of Quality Driven Software and Employee Performance Software. And I owned a maid service for 13 years and just doing a few other odd things on the site. So welcome to Fight Club, Rick. I said Fight Club taking on Rick Wallace is how I put it.
Okay.
But we'll be nice to you. You be nice to us.
Go.
Well, on that note, I get to steal you first. I guess this really is sounding like more of a bout here. We're going bout for bout today, going back to the roots of Fight Club. Rick, so I'm excited. Marketing wise, I've noticed there's a lot of cool things that y'all are doing there over at Liquid Lawn. And one thing I noticed that is something I'd be interested to see when you implemented it, when you kind of started this kind of guarantee that you have, right? Because you have a personal 100% no risk, we pay you guarantee. And that is a huge marketing play. And a lot of people are terrified of giving guarantees. They're afraid that, clients will just use and abuse it, or that it's just not something that they can live up to potentially. When did that get implemented? Was that in the beginning, back when you kind of first started? Was that after you kind of started crossing some of those $1 million markers? When did that marketing kind of, I guess, what's the word I'm looking for? Because it's its own kind of channel in a sense of giving that guarantee and trust to your clients. When did that really come into play?
That's probably when we started Liquid Lawn about 6 years ago. And, we guarantee no weeds. And, some people in the industry, I guess, you're doing the right thing when some people in the industry are saying, you can't do that. That's dangerous. This is that, because that means your competitors are probably not going to do it. And so we've kind of done it from the beginning, or from the beginning of that company, and it's worked out. And throughout the years, we've kind of solidified that approach. Consumers want a guarantee. It's kind of helps you close jobs. It gives comforts them, and we can testify to this, that most people won't hold you to they're not going to take you to the cleaners if something doesn't go exactly right. They'll let you work through it. Do your service calls, do your follow-ups, do your. I have had a couple take me to the cleaners, but
always one or two. I will say
two out of 10,000 isn't really that bad. If you factor in all your customer interactions and all your past customers, all these things. So it's such a minute number that I think, it's kind of a no-brainer. You could even build it into your operating cost if it is, it's negligible.
It is. And that's what I like that you said immediately in the beginning, is that your competitors automatically tried to steer you against it, right? And I feel like that's something we see a lot when it comes to guarantees, is you want to do this for your customer. That's really shows the heart of the business owner and the heart of the business itself, that they do very much value their customers and want to make sure they're always satisfied and happy. But sometimes what happens is the egos from other business owners kind of step in and try to bully you down to say, you shouldn't be doing this. This is not really how the industry works, when it absolutely can work that way. And like you said, sometimes it doesn't happen the first time. It does take a few steps to get it right, but the clients are so understanding because that guarantee is in place, that's where you're able to really move that forward and keep that guarantee. And there always is going to be that one or two people that decide to take you to the cleaners and really be a royal pain in the butt. But at the end of the day, you're doing what's right for the clients, which is beautiful to see.
Yeah, I think going against the grain is maybe it's a good thing in some cases.
I think so. And it's funny you say that, because you do go against the grain with marketing. I have seen this, and I would be remiss, and the ladies would absolutely kill me if I did not talk about it. So we do have to chat about, I believe I want to make sure I phrase this correctly. The concept of behind your marketing is really putting a condom on your lawn. Is that correct?
I was like, it's not going to get easier to say, Tay. Just say it.
I'm trying to make sure I'm phrasing things correctly here. All right.
I don't know what you're talking about. That's more of a bubble that's protecting the grass. It's just a protective bubble. I don't know.
Okay. So this is what
you're really confusing. I don't know what kind of like perverted mind you have, but what I see on that flyer is a bubble, and that bubble is protecting your lawn from weeds and disease, and it's a protective covering.
Is it protecting from seeds? I'm sorry, I can't.
Yeah, like weed seeds, infectious diseases, insects. Just anything that could damage, really infest your lawn area, But I don't know.
Somebody have this link. We need the link. I'm frantically searching for this link. So we can show our listeners the bubble.
I know we have to show the listeners the very important bubble, because this bubble is important in a lot of aspects of life. But for this in particular, I mean, it really has painted a picture. I mean, that's the thing, is you can visually see exactly what you're talking about in this protection. And absolutely people can take it different directions however they want to. But how has that kind of visualization within the marketing helped? Because it has to have done something, I'm sure of it.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a little controversial. But at the end of the day, like, we test different things, and I think that particular mode wasn't super successful, but we tested it. And some people, if I post it on like a Facebook group, it just blows up and just be like, boom. It's like you could set a nuke off in a Facebook group with that picture.
Lord.
But in reality, it didn't really cause a lot of stir. There's a little bit of banter, had the trade, our salesman kind of like knew how to kind of take it and play with it a little bit. And, but, at the end of the day, it's really not about creating controversy. It's about creating sales. And so if we see something that's kind of like, we look at the numbers, like we want sales, we don't care about so much the controversy. So.
And they're in the heart of it, right? At the heart of this controversy, there is education. There is a piece that you guys did take to really hone in on the education aspect of how this looks for a lawn, right? What this protection process looks like. And you did it in a way that absolutely can be controversial and can go and kind of, piss some people off if it wants to. But at the end of the day, it's education, and you've done it in a way that's visual. And to me, as a marketing person, I've noticed a lot of people do really fall in that visual category. It's hard for them to conceptualize certain aspects of a service industry without being able to see exactly what the salespeople are talking about.
Yeah, I don't think you should ever be scared of like, offending someone. You may not want to offend. The goal is not to offend all of them. Because you want
to lose everyone.
Sales, but they say an effective marketing piece if it doesn't offend someone, it's not very effective. So
that is very true. And you see that everywhere. I mean, you see that from small business owners up into corporate. I mean, this is something that happens all the time. And it's a learning opportunity for the business, which I think is great. You guys did use it as an A/B testing opportunity, which if you're listening today and that's something you haven't really attempted to do, think about that, because that's ways that you can trial run certain types of marketing and certain types of campaigns to see how they're going to react to your clientele and see how they're going to react to your local market. And it's important because if you don't try, you'll never know. And sometimes those tests end up being the things that transform the business. But if we didn't take that opportunity, if Rick didn't do that, he could have never known that, visually that helps clients understand a little bit better, but it might not have been the best messaging. So then he can kind of take that and tweak it and adjust it to make sure it falls within the exact category that's best for his clientele. So
we actually found a more offensive flyer worked better.
Oh, really? Okay. I'd love to hear it.
I posted both, so we can let our listeners look at those. So they're both in the show notes. Maybe there's even a more offensive one. We'll let Rick post that one if there's another one.
No, but I think you got to test things on a small scale and then see, like, sometimes we'll get people saying, you'll get a lot. Like, I think it seems like the first time people get a nasty Facebook message or a bad email or a bad, they drop their marketing. They say, "Oh, I offended somebody."
Retreat.
And there's so many people out there that are just, I don't know. They're just looking. I get a bunch of Facebook messages through our company saying, "You did this. You put this in our mailbox." And it's just, but when you have the data that says track everything, you want to listen to that.
You do. And I will tell you right now, and I'm sure Rick can back me up on this, You're never going to make everyone happy when it comes to marketing. It's just a matter of knowing who your clientele is and knowing exactly who that client avatar is, which we talk about a lot in the marketing segment. And the right clients for your business really won't be that offended by what you're doing marketing wise. They will support you. They'll understand the vision of it, and they'll want to continue having service with you. The people that normally tend to get offended or don't necessarily see eye to eye sometimes with what you're putting out might not be your exact clientele, and that's okay. We don't have to please everyone as a business. We just want to please the right people who we can serve properly and be able to grow and, support our community. So I appreciate your time, Rick. And I know we talked a little bit about sales. There were some number drops in there a few times. So I'm going to go ahead and pass you off to Megan so you guys can talk about finances.
Yeah, I have two options for us today. And I think we could have a really fun discussion going either direction. The first one is we could keep talking about marketing. Like, how do you measure ROI, especially if you're doing mailers? Like, what are the levers you're looking for? Is that a booking rate? Is that a conversion rate? Is, how are you measuring whether your marketing efforts are effective and that they're returning what you want? Last week, our guest kind of blew my mind because he said that and all week I've thought about this. So Ryan, you're in my head, but he said that we shouldn't talk about ROI in marketing. We should just talk about client acquisition costs. And so I'm wondering if you kind of feel like you have those numbers dialed in, or, 200,000 to 5 million in 6 years is incredible growth. And I think a lot of our listeners are growth minded. They have these big goals, they have these big dreams, and sometimes it's really hard to break it down. And it sounds like I've heard you mention you've just dropped a few numbers. So I have a feeling you have a pretty clear system of maybe the number of new recurring clients per season that you're wanting to attract, or I would love to hear kind of your goal setting strategy. So do you want to keep going with the marketing route, or would you like to move into goal setting discussion?
I'm fine with either. We could talk about marketing. I think the numbers are something I pay attention to. I think it's something I think it's something we can all kind of improve on. So
I just started marketing. I'm asking
What's that?
selfishly because we just started marketing at Jeff Likes Clean Windows, and I find tracking leads is very hard. I didn't have good systems for tracking leads, and then matching ad spend to lead count is also really hard. So I'm like, this is a lot of work. This is a little exhausting. So tell us a little bit about what, do you have a percentage that's your target for ad spend, or do you have a net percentage? A lot of times we have to sacrifice profitability for growth. So I'd love to hear how that's gone.
Yeah, I think it varies for me depending on the year and the goals. 1 year we might want to grow, we might want to cruise. Last year we kind of cruised. We did kind of a really efficient marketing campaign and just kind of dialed back any excesses. And this year we kind of had a bigger marketing push. So it's I guess for us, we don't really have I know that what is the industry standard, what we're all supposed to do? 5% or 10%?
I think it totally depends. 5 and 15, depending on what your is. I mean, I've never spent more than 1, so I don't they screw industry standards. But I have a strong brand, right? And so they say that my marketing dollars go further because of that effectiveness of the brand. Now we're spending.
It depends on how explosive, how explosively you want to grow. Because I hear some people say these things they spend this amount of money on Google, or they spend this amount of money on this, and direct mail doesn't work, or Facebook doesn't work, and but a lot of times you get in these scenarios where Google pay per click, there's not enough volume of searches to it's not even function. You can't even grow have explosive growth if you use some of these avenues, because you'll max them out. You can put your max budget as $500 a day, but if the community is if there's only $100 a day worth of demand, then you can't even meet your ad spend budget. So I guess it depends, just depends on your explosive growth, how much you can afford to do it. Sometimes
let's talk about that. Let's go back 5 years ago. So your second year in business, I'm guessing, you had some money, but probably not a lot. How did you make those choices? What did you prioritize in terms
Well,
of?
I mean, we had a landscape business, so we kind of, we kind of transitioned into spraying. So we did have like money to throw at things, and marketing is something that I think I've always spent a good bit of money on marketing. I believe in it. But I understand all the bad sentiments against it, because we go through all those things too. I mean, it's a mental challenge, to spend money on something, whether it's Google, Facebook, or it's almost these intangible assets, and you just hope that, I guess at some point you're hoping it works, but that's kind of like you're testing and you got to track everything. And so and it comes back to like what you're talking about, customer acquisition cost, ROI, which I think both of those are really important, because you kind of want to, because I feel like if you know your return on investment, you can spend more on your cost of acquisition. So like your tax is directly related to your ROI.
Yeah. So do you have somebody internally that's helping you track all of that? Or
no, I do most of it myself, actually.
So how do you preserve your data? Like, I'd imagine you have a pretty high volume of leads that are coming in. And so, we're dependent on the person who's answering the phones to, attribute that lead to the right source. But what about, like, for me, Yelp is a new game I've been playing, and I really like my cost per lead. It's my lowest one right now. And like you said, I've maxed out on Google My Business. And so we're trying to get creative. So I love Yelp, but there's a lot of crickets in the Yelp inbox. And so it's hard to track. Like I've created a Zap that will put all the Yelp leads into a Google sheet, but it's very manual. So do you have any tricks for us about how to track those lead flows and how to track that ROI?
Are you getting them from the inbox, or are they emailing you or calling you?
Well, so right now, the way the Yelp leads work is they just chat. You're paying per every chat initiation in the app, in the Yelp app.
Can you get them off the chat into a?
That's totally the goal. And so the question is, like, when do we count it? Do we count it when we pay for it, which is when they go in the chat box, or do we count it when they make it into our response bid system? And then we should definitely count it once they make it into our bank account, right? Or let's say calendar instead.
Yeah, it is. It is hard. They're making it harder, aren't they?
And same with Facebook, right? So Facebook messages, you're like, okay, well, I got a lead.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Now what?
Well, we've been trying to get those into a we have gotten those into an email submission.
Perfect.
Then when it emails the salesperson, they know exactly where that lead is coming from. And then, so I guess the trick is getting that from, like, I guess getting your Zap to convert them into an email submission. Where you can at least get their information into an email, then into your software, then you track it in your software.
Mm-hmm.
And then once it's in the software, I feel like it's there forever.
Yeah, totally. So what's your favorite advertising avenue these days? Or what's your mix? What's your favorite mix?
I mean, we try a lot of them. I mean, we do all of the major ones. We do Google pay-per-click. And I watched that one. There's a lot of, I don't know if you guys do y'all manage your Google account yourself, or do you pay somebody?
Pay somebody.
We have a company.
Yeah. I really didn't understand it until I got in there and like paid somebody to teach me how to do it. So, I mean, I still have like somebody I meet with a couple weeks. I have like a free floating campaign out there, but I meet with somebody every couple weeks to kind of like go in there and see it. And, it's almost one of those things where if like it helps to like understand how it works. And then you kind of like, because otherwise you're paying somebody $1,000 a month or $500 a month, and you don't really know what you're getting. And you don't really like, marketing is like, what is marketing like? It's like marketing agencies and marketing.
Imaginary. I feel like it's a whole bunch of imaginary, like, and like glitz and glam.
Glitter.
There's a lot of glitter in marketing. I always say it's like the sexiest topic.
Like leprechauns or like serpents or, you know,
Drew
or
Larison is loving it.
magicians.
He
Like,
owns a
somebody-
marketing agency and he's just loving. Drew, you're in the glitter business.
Yes.
Yeah,
But if you do a good job
It's money.
at being transparent, then you know you're an anomaly in the business.
Mhm.
Yeah, there's very few like that though. I think it's almost like a pay for performance model, which would be cool, you know, or
The Wizard of Ads, I think that's how they do it. They actually take a percentage of revenue as their pay. Or they're like, we're on the same team. We're in the same game. When you win, I win. And I'm like, oh, I like that.
Yeah, it is kind of risky for the marketing company, I think, to do that.
Right.
You know, it has to be results based, which is cool.
Mhm.
But there's a lot of other things. I mean, it's a big risk because, like, as a company, we're responsible for all the creatives. Like your ad marketing company is like, if you're relying on them for your creatives, they're probably going to suck, you know? So
I have to give a shout out. Ashley Bissing with One Love Social has been killing it for Jeff Likes Clean Windows. And she does some silly things, not as scandalous as a condom in an ad, but you know, like there's kissing in some of them. And we're having so much fun on Facebook right now with Ashley. And it was my first time releasing my creative. And I was like, is it still going to be the DNA of my company? Is it still going to match our culture? And it's been really fun. So yeah.
Yeah.
Huh. Okay. All right. Well, let's see. What's the goal for this year? What's the current run rate? Like, are you done with all of your spring sales?
No, we're still pushing. You know, we've I will say, like, this year's been a little bit harder for us than other years. We've had to work a little bit harder. I've done more creative style stuff. Like, I mean, creatives as in like the ad copy, the pictures, the videos. And I think one thing that's kind of stuck with me this year is, Josh, working with Josh Lattimore. I went through one of his marketing courses online, which was really good. And, you know, you can go into Facebook ad library and see what your competitors are doing, which is really cool. But if you go, he says like the most successful ones, they do 100, service businesses or you see these internet Facebook marketing companies, they do thousands of ads, and when you think of like the variations most service companies do, it's like 2 or 3, which is like, that's not going to cut it. Like if you really want to find the pot of gold, you're going to have to try a lot, and you're going to
have to fail a lot, right? And that's the scary part, right? You're gonna have campaigns that are gonna bust, and you're gonna waste some money. I feel like I've once burned through $25,000 in Facebook ads, and like I'm still shy about it. Now I'm like, I'm still nervous about it. That one still hurts. So yeah, you have to get comfortable with failure, right? And you have to be willing to get in there and check it and measure it.
That was something else I was going to mention, because like it's almost, Josh kind of explained it to me. It's kind of like a batting average. Like if you think about going up to bat, most hitters, a good batting point, so like if you're going to fail 70% of the time, if you fail 70% of the time, you're an all-star.
That's a really good mindset moment to pass you on to Michelle with.
Yeah.
So I feel like, let me just wrap up this finance section and say that what I heard you say was you have to watch it. And I think as the CEO, you have a responsibility to be aware of what's happening in your marketing team. So be aware of what the spend is, where the spend is, and maybe even have some education around what your service providers are doing. Working with somebody that speaks your language and will take the time to explain to you their process and explain to you the results. We have a goal setting review meeting every month with each of our marketing companies. And I tell them, they know I'm a pain in the ass, but I'm like, okay, so we're going to go over the results from last month. We're going to set goals for this month, and I'm going to hold you accountable if you don't meet your goals. And we're going to get better. And this is how long your runway is before I pull the plug. And I treat it just like I would treat a staff person. So we have a responsibility, I think, to do that. And then the other thing I heard you say is, like, once you set a plan, stay the course. So you're going to commit to throwing some money at it, and you're going to let it ride, and you're going to do your tweaks, and you're going to do what's in your power, but you're not going to, the first failed campaign or the first angry like message, you're not going to shut it all down. You're going to be okay with a little bit of failure. And Rick's parting comment was 70% bad is still killing it. So I loved that. And I'm going to pass to Michelle, and hopefully you guys can sort out more systems.
Yay! I can't wait. I can't wait. Actually, I want to talk about money first. Sorry, Megs. You didn't talk about too much money. I have a money question. So I was on with Marvin Salcedo. You may know him.
Yep.
Awesome lawn care guy. And we were talking about services that you have to sunset, which is a very scary thing as a business owner. And it sounds to me like you used to do services that were at the $200,000 mark, and now you're at the $5 million mark, and some of those services you probably don't provide anymore. How did you make that decision? Because I think people get really freaked out by letting go of some of the things that got them to where they were. Tell me how you looked at it objectively and said, okay, this is a system or a service that I am no longer going to provide. And then how did you message that to your team so that they didn't feel like the ship was going down or something was wrong? I think a lot of business owners are in that flex space right now this year as they're seeing new opportunities like you are in pest control. Okay, that was a big question. Go.
Well, we still do a lot of all of our services, really. We still
Really?
do
Okay.
landscaping and, so, but I think I think it's just about building enough income to let go of something comfortably, and I think getting to a point mentally where you're capable, you're comfortable making that jump, or it makes sense. That's when you do it.
Okay. So then when you want to add something on the positive side, how do you enlist your ops team to learn a whole new skill or do a whole new thing? Is pest control so far out of the box, or is it similar enough that it's the same skill set for your team? How does that work?
It's pretty similar. I think we've hired people with experience, so that's kind of a cheap, maybe a shortcut.
A quick way to get it done. Okay, beautiful. Have you gone out into the marketplace and tried to look at your competitors and hire people from there, or have you just done regular hiring? How have you acquired people that may have that experience? How have you found them?
I believe in advertising, marketing for people. But in that scenario, we just found some disgruntled people that they got bought out, and
really
it was a good easy transition.
Cool. Have you purchased another business at all and brought it in, or do you just acquire the employees as part of your strategy?
We purchased a couple really small businesses. We haven't made any huge purchases, but I think, like, if you're going to start in a new market or start a new service, that's a really great way to get started, because they're not very expensive, probably less than $100,000 and you can structure how you buy a business,
Sure.
to be almost nothing. That's an easy way. It's a shortcut. It's probably, we're starting in one location, we're starting pest control from the ground up. And it's like, it's sort of like chewing glass.
Good Lord. That sounds terrible.
Yeah, that's I heard that phrase from Elon Musk one time about when he was going through Tesla. But yeah, that's so buying a company already having some momentum is, sometimes it's, even if you overpay a little bit, it might be worth the money.
Okay, so now that you've done it, tell me how you've kind of smashed those two companies together and which systems sort of took over. Did you choose the larger of the business to use its systems and kind of fold in the smaller? You did?
Yeah, pretty much.
Mm-hmm. You did. Okay. And then how about the culture? I'm leaning on Martha a tiny bit here. How about the culture of those people? Did you bring them in and really invest in them to be part of your culture so that they could feel like they were continuing on as a part of your business? How did that, combination work?
Well, I think the truth is, I guess, that sometimes that they don't match and it doesn't work.
Yeah.
So and this goes back to failing. Like some of the people we hired didn't work. They didn't match with the culture, and it was just like oil and water. So they kind of fell off, and the ones that had the work ethic, that had the passion, kind of stuck. So and that was, that was hires I made that were bad, and or maybe, I don't know if you want to say bad, maybe not a good fit, and we want to be here. So then you kind of, but then it goes back to failing. It's kind of like, I think we're also scared of failing, that and embarrassment and everything that comes along. Like, it's easy to sit here and say, like, you need to fail more, that's how you learn. But then, like, when you actually do it, it's kind of like,
It's terrible. It's terrible. It's terrible.
I don't want to be here and sit here saying, like, I'm the best. I can recover from failure from the best. It's like, it's like really painful, and it sucks.
I noticed your picture, like change subjects really quick, but I noticed your picture for our episode. It looks like you've got some flight stuff on. Are you a pilot? Do you fly plane? Tell me about how that activity of flying a plane is similar to kind of running a business, because I feel like people's hobbies and who they are in their work world are often really in alignment. Tell me how those two kind of match in your world.
Well, there's always the possibility of crashing.
Don't say that. No, you're the hero of your own story. What are you talking about, Rick?
I just thought that was interesting. I thought of it that way, but no, I mean, I think when you're a pilot, you have a certain degree of freedom, and you have to take risks. Calculated risk. There's a lot of similarities. That's a good question. You have to be competent enough to make those calculations. I mean, it's one thing running out of fuel in a car, but it can be devastating running out of fuel in an airplane.
Good Lord.
So you got to make sure you're calculating the wind and the everything that's involved, and then sometimes it's like, one of my favorite parts of flying is sometimes it's you versus the good Lord, because he's up there with thunderstorms and wind and ice and all these things. You kind of have to just see if you can make it, which is challenging. I mean, I don't say like that's the goal of it, but there is that kind of inevitable, makes it more interesting.
That pressure. Yeah, it makes it more interesting. A little bit like owning a business.
Yeah, you never know what's going to happen, right?
Oh, this was super helpful. One last question, because I do work on systems, and I always ask, when somebody does scale to a larger company, what software have they found has served them throughout those stages of their business, or have they changed CRMs in the process from the 200 to the 5 million? Have you been able to use the same tools, or do you need something different? And then tell us about that journey.
Yeah, I think when I think of systems, I think of software.
Yeah.
And that's what really builds your for more scalable businesses like lawn care and all these cleaning, I guess, and all these things that are so you can compartmentalize so easy with software. We've been with Service Autopilot since the beginning, and I guess we're kind of lucky in that way that it's been able to scale, and I think I've gotten to the point where we've gotten frustrated with Service Autopilot. We were kind of like one of the first people with Jonathan Potoshnik, and
Sure.
And I wish he was still running it. But so we kind of went through this scenario where we were looking around, and then we're like, man, we're not happy with this. Like, how cool would it be to have like a call tracking system in your software? Like, God, that would be awesome. Everything, record every call, like Service Titan has that, but
Yeah.
they don't. Their scheduling modules are for air conditioner, not for us, And it's kind of like but then when you get to Service Autopilot, like it's really, really good for the maintenance and
Yep,
it's
it
really
is.
good for. So then it's like there's nothing perfect, There's nothing out there perfect. Like we got on this. We thought about switching to Serve Suite or something, and then then you start talking to people. Their system went down for 3 days. Like Autopilot has never gone down, and it's like you think about I think Orkin uses Serve Suite. Imagine how much money they lost in 3 days. Wow. Like, I don't know, $50 million of,
Lord.
like if you think about losing a day, sometimes those aren't recoverable. There's only so many days in a year. If you're able to fill all of them out and you lose 3 of them, you lost. They're gone. But anyway.
Yeah. Okay.
Software is frustrating. And I think the thing is like probably what you would preach is just what do you think? Just
got to try them on. Yeah. You just got to try them on. And every person and every business is different, and they're going to use them differently, and they need different data out of them. So it's really, really up to the business owner to decide what they need. So this was super helpful, Rick. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I'm going to pass you off to Martha. This was fun.
I'm putting my mask back up there to say that Drew and Tyler, and when we talked about Marvin, they're all going to be in New Orleans, so that'll be fun. One thing I have to say about Rick that's not really related to culture, so I just want to say that I've watched you. You're really good at, for yourself, you never take a "it can't be done" type of excuse. Like, that doesn't work in my area. That just isn't something that Rick would really say. And I've seen you in the groups, and you'll try to change somebody's mind or perspective for a little bit, and then you're like, I'm done. And as you should be, because there's some people who are just in their own way and are going to always think that you can't do it because of blah blah blah. So I do really love that, and I have a feeling that you just love challenges, and if somebody else isn't succeeding in an area, that's probably your cue to go, we can do it, so that's pretty cool. I think what I want to talk to you about is how you hold your field staff accountable, because I have a feeling that you're very big on accountability. And we can even discuss that with management too. And I also have a feeling that those who do what you need them to do and fit in your culture, you love, but then you have no patience for people who aren't going to fit into the mold. And I mean, I get it. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about accountability.
I don't know. I might could use your help on this subject, actually. I think it's hard. Like, I'm not going to sit here and tell you I got it figured out, because I don't. And it's constantly it's a problem with keeping people employed. It's like a balance of I don't know. It's not easy. So I would say we do pay for performance on some of our services, and it works pretty well. I think it works well with retention, because they get they get paid for their actual time they spend. But I actually do have some problems with accountability. We use your surveys, that we get, and review and call every single customer that makes a complaint, and try to get in front of those things. But That's actually something we could probably use some Martha Woodward consulting on, because we're struggling. Like, we got the retention, but some of the quality, we're not happy with some of the quality issues, and how do we hold people accountable? Is it punitive? Is it because I think we've gotten the reward part right. We need to take I mean, how did you keep your cleaners if they messed up, if they forgot to clean a shower door or something? What was their punitive damage?
So for me, and it's funny, so I just had to do a talk for Service Autopilot, actually, and it was called The Art of Accountability. And at the QDS conference, I was supposed to be doing a talk on, nobody knows this, and it's actually in print, that I'm doing a talk on becoming Culture First certified. I'm going to give them a little bit of that, but I'm actually going to do that Art of Accountability talk, because I feel like, I start thinking about it, I think a lot of people need it. And I mean, I don't have it 100% dialed in either, but I would tell you that there are 3 paths that should be present in your company. And you'll have the path of the disciplinary route, and that if basically you don't straighten up, that you're going to be out the door. You have that middle path of people who do enough to stay employed, and they do okay, but they're not hitting the pay for performance standards, which is that third path. I think the hardest thing, not everybody does pay for performance, and there are so many variations of that. I think people hear pay for performance and think they've got to have some percentage bump on their payroll, etc. It doesn't have to be that. But I think the biggest problem for people is that what I call the left road, the disciplinary road, actually following through with that process, because that's, like you said, it's painful. It's really painful. But I think I was pretty decent at that, and that really helped me. Now, in the beginning years, I absolutely sucked at it. I was terrible. But when I started getting very good at standing behind what our policies were, I also created a system where they could earn more allowances, And, but when I started getting good at that, really, I felt like things started falling in line. And then I didn't ever want a company that was all about the negative. And that's really when I put the positive into there. So that's it in a nutshell for me. But because you will have to let people go, then I also learned to be pretty good at pumpkin planning my clients and having the best clients. So, if I'm letting people go, then, you know what? Maybe it's time to tighten up our radius that we serve, or maybe it's time to drop this, like for us, monthly service that I didn't want to do. There were things that I could do to actually create a stronger company, because I had to, because of manpower. But a lot of times it's more profitable anyway.
Well, let me ask you, like, let's say we're pay for performance and we're out spraying lawns, and then we've got a customer call in off of one of your, or let's say we got one of your surveys, and they say they got weeds in their lawn. And of course, we got the technician that did it. What would you, obviously they're going to go back and treat the lawn, and they're not necessarily going to get paid for that. But what we found is that's not in fact, they could say, well, I'm not getting paid for this. I'm not even going to do a good job doing the service call. So like, well, how would you hold them accountable in that scenario?
Yeah. Well, for us, somebody could have essentially five complaints in a 60-day period, and they were gone if it was more than that. But now that would be different for everyone because, like a solo house cleaner is doing 2 to 3 jobs a day. And then if they're a team, maybe they're doing 4 or 5. So that's different. My numbers would be different, but I had to determine what I felt was allowable and, like true allowed quality mistakes, like true human error versus I don't give a crap, so you have to figure out what that number is. And I was okay with true human error. I was not okay with I don't care. And so my system was set up to where you have this much, and every step of the way you see, and in QDS you can actually see. I would move people from green level 1 to level 2 yellow to level 3 red. And so when I met with the management staff, that's what I wanted to know. How many people are in yellow? How many people are in red? So I know in my head where we're at.
So we've been using the HR module in QDS for almost 3 years now. And I just learned this year that we were not using it correctly. So Martha had met with 2 of the leaders in my company and had said like, yeah, you don't have your triggers set up correctly. And we had set the policies, but we'd never set the consequences to the policies or like the timeframes to the policies. And we had like a manual system, and then we had the QDS system. So we kind of doubled down on this last month, Rick. And I kind of encourage you to meet with Martha and meet with your team. But it was so fun because she actually has the list of the things. And then we already had the policy for the thing. And then we just had to define the consequence for the thing. And then we put it all in QDS. And we relaunched it to our team, and we're like, okay. And we're right now in a 30-day, like it's a mock period where we're just trying to get everybody back in alignment. And then we're going to go into our normal, like yellow, green, red. But Martha, I think it's so funny because I set it up, and then I missed like a super critical step, which is like, here are the triggers of the consequences, right? Like 2 verbals, a written, and termination. I missed that part of it. So Rick, you're in good company if that makes you feel better. And I love this HR module of QDS. Like it has everything we need. And now we can do the color-based who's in yellow, who's in red.
And that'll actually soon be coming on your report that goes out weekly to your employees, but then also an admin report. So it'll be good. But yeah, it's just, it isn't easy. Now, one thing that I really don't hear people do, and maybe this is why I could hold to my policies so well, is I had ways they could earn extra. So in regards to quality, I remember I had one girl, I loved her, but she was a little like me in that I'm not a detailed person. If I had to clean a house, it wouldn't be because I didn't care. It'd be because I'm just not that detailed. They can all say, oh yeah, I cannot proofread a thing. And so I created a system where if you had perfect attendance for that month, is the way I did it, you got an extra allowed complaint. And because to me everything's a give and take, right? And if you're excelling in this area, then I'm going to give you a little over here, and then I did the same with Attendance. I had more problems with attendance. So we had a lot of single moms. And so I had a system set up that if your quality score for the month was above this level, you get an extra allowed unplanned absence. But that was part of our policy. That is not built into QDS, but you can override. So there's a way you can work around it.
Okay.
So it's just something to think about. But I do think that's one of the ways that I could hold to my policies and see that the people who don't care are never going to earn those extras. And so to me, that was the beauty of the system, because only the people that excelled in an area were going to earn the extras, and the people who accidentally got through all of our weed out process and stuff, they weren't going to earn them. And so I could exit them out of the company quicker because they didn't get any extras. So anyway, okay.
Well, I have to pick up the HR module, and I probably need to get into the software and see, like, I guess I probably need to get into the software more and look into your software and just see if I can see any correlation between complaints and certain technicians.
Yeah, we can look at that then. But anyway, Tay, I'm going to pass it back to you. We could go on and on forever, and it's been fun. And at the beginning, Rick, I was thinking Rick is the one that's on the best behavior between those two girls in the beginning. All right, Tay.
Awesome. Well,
our homework.
We are at homework. So Rick, you are more than welcome to give homework at the end. We will kind of go through our little spiel here for our listeners real quick. As a reminder, we do assign homework at the end of each show to hold you accountable to what you listened to today. So we are about to give you about 4 to 5 pieces of homework. That is too much to handle within 1 week. We want this to be something that is effective and moves the needle forward for your business. So please make sure to only choose 1 piece of homework and make sure it's something that really spoke to you today, something that you know you've been needing to do, that has been on your to-do list, that you need to get done, and you heard something today that kind of sparked that reminder and is going to put that into action for you this week. So we do have an accountability group, which we will post in the comments. If you do have questions or need help with homework, that is there as well for you. But yeah, as far as homework goes, that's the spiel. And marketing wise, I am going to challenge you this week, which I'm pretty sure I've given this homework before, but I don't think you can ever give it too much. I would like you to really focus on A/B testing this week and find something that may be controversial, maybe something that is like not something your followers and your clientele is used to seeing from you, and see how that reacts, but also do one that is kind of a little bit opposite of that. That's the whole point of A/B testing, is to take 2 concepts talking about the same, what's the word I'm looking for? The same topic, I guess you could say, same marketing topic. So if we're talking about lawn care specifically, and we're talking about weeds, we want to take one that can be controversial. We want to take one that can be educational, but less controversial. See how they react to your audience. How do they take that piece of marketing? How does it work for the sales end of it and bringing leads in? And from there, just let it roll for a little bit. Like Rick said, you got to let these things play out. So let it go for a week, 2 weeks, and design that campaign around those 2 topics, see how it works, and then go from there. Sorry, Megan, that was long.
No, that was good. I'm the note taker, Rick, so I'm like, that was a good one. So I do my own homework usually, or not my own or somebody else's homework, but I do homework every week. So if you're a listener and you need inspiration, like, this is really helpful to keep us like moving forward in our businesses. So I'd like to do my homework this week, and the finance homework is going to be tracking your leads. So coming up with a system that figures out, like, what do you count as a lead? And do you have a good way to track it systematically? I feel like as we move into these other avenues that aren't quite as obvious as a phone call or an email or a form submission, it's harder to track those leads. So I'm going to challenge us all to kind of count how many leads are actually coming in every week. And then you can get a better idea of what is that lead conversion rate or what is that lead slippage rate. So that's going to be your finance homework for this week.
Ooh, and usually I do something, Rick, that's super techy and kind of nerdy, but this week I want to go totally different and do a little bit of self-reflection. And I want you to see what it is that you do as a hobby or something fun like flying, and see how those skills could be translated into your business. Take a few minutes of reflection and write down some of those top things that make you a good pilot or a good skier or a good baker, and write down what those can be that you could translate into your business this week. Kind of tie those things together for you and your team. That's your systems homework.
And my homework is going to be, I think I'm going to have you look at maybe your top 2 policies that are causing you trouble, without a lack of a better way. So whether that's your attendance policy, your quality policy, what policies are you maybe not following and you need to reevaluate and maybe revise? So top 2 policies, and look and see if they need revision. And then Rick, you have any homework?
I think it would be interesting to try to figure out what your client acquisition cost is, just a rough number, and just to see what that comes to, and then because I mean you kind of have to be tracking leads to know what's going where, and but it would be nice to know, if you know that figure, if something's costing you $50 and you're like, well, that's cost me $50 per client, maybe I should do 100 more of those. And then you can be like, wow, I can grow my business that's really the trick to scaling your business. If you can have all these other little things in place, and then figure out how much money you can spend. Then you can figure out how many trucks you need to buy and how many people you need to hire, blah, blah, blah. So cost of acquisition, I think, would be ideal. Just an idea.
I like it.
Really good one. And Rick, if one of our listeners wants to get in touch with you, kind of chat with you further about business, what would be the best way for them to get into contact with you?
Yeah, we have a Facebook group, lawnlogic.com. That'll kind of, you can go there and we'll get you in a Facebook group to kind of talk with other people that are interested in growing their business.
Love it. And we always end our sessions together with a quote, Rick. And I found this one while we were chatting.
Oh, we're not going to pray? I thought we were going to pray.
No praying, no praying. I am a pastor's daughter, so I could whip it out if I needed to. But no praying today. To the victim, adversity is bad, but to the leader and warrior, hard times are life's richest times of growth, opportunity, and possibility. Use them to fly. I thought it tied in really beautifully with what you do in your piloting land. Thank you so much for joining us. This was really helpful and a lot of fun. I loved learning from you today. So everybody have an awesome day out there.
Yeah.
We'll see you in New Orleans.
That was a great benediction. Thank you.
Ah, good times. Good times. Okay. See you guys. Bye.
Right.
Go fight.
So much. Go fight. Bye. Awesome, Rick. Thank you